Gonzaga Nation SI, Dan Dickau alongside fellow Zag, Adam Morrison. Mo, you're in Southern California. I'm in Southern California. We got the game against LMU tonight, Pepperdine on Saturday. What's this bright thing with the blue sky out there? It kind of shocked me when I stepped off the plane.
Yeah, we crawled out of our holes, and it was the first time getting off a plane in a long time and seeing the sunshine. So it's been nice. It's just a different vibe, obviously, down here, and I'm looking forward to tonight's game.
You played here in LA for the Lakers for a couple years. I was with the Clippers. Being from the Northwest, I didn't think I'd like it, but I loved living in LA. Now, I don't think I could live a 30, 40-year stretch, but at the time of my life, it was great for some of the things you mentioned, the sun, right? Where did you live when you were with the Lakers, and kind of what were some of your normal places that you would go to for activities?
I lived in Playa del Rey. I guess the jungle, to call it, right on the beach. I was lucky enough to get a nice spot there, a little town home, and I didn't really leave the area. You know how it is. So, yeah, just enjoyed the beach and the sunshine, and it's pretty simple.
Yeah, it is. You kind of hit on it. I lived in Manhattan Beach where we rented a house, and people think of LA as this big expanse, and you were always traveling, driving around different places. That's not the case when you find a little pocket that you like with your restaurants, your grocery stores, all those things. And so it wasn't overwhelming. I think that's one reason I liked it being down here for that year. So, did you ever get into surfing, being that you were right on the beach?
No, I'm not. I don't like sharks, so I don't go in the ocean water at all.
You don't like sharks? Yeah, I didn't get into surfing either, but my family and I, when we were here, we got those big cruiser bikes. I've heard them called Cali road bikes before. We would ride up and down the beach. Fun times. Hey, let's jump into the first of the two games down here in Southern California, LMU. Obviously, it's a return game from in Spokane where LMU made all the big plays down the stretch and came away with a win. First time in 76 games, Gonzaga lost at home. I think it was 25 games in this series. Gonzaga had won in a row. What do you remember about that game? And then what do you see Gonzaga has to really shore up tonight to be successful and come away with a road win?
Well, I remember, the main thing I took away from that game is, plan-wise, Stan Johnson did a good job of slowing the pace down. Leah Pepe had a solid game, but it really boiled down to Cam Shelton playing out of his mind down the stretch up in Spokane. High ball screens, lefty kid, made it really difficult for us to, get him contained. He made all the big-time shots, plays, decisions, probably the last 8-9 minutes of that basketball game. So that's going to be a huge deal for us to try to stop him. He had a big game against St. Mary's when they won. LMU beat them. He's probably going to be first team all league. He might be up for MVP, to be honest. Has a chance. Him and Drew are probably the two most guys that have the best chance to win that award. So it's going to be, can we slow him down, and then can we play at a faster pace to where we can allow ourselves to get easier baskets, because they did a good job against us defensively as well in Spokane. So pace and then slowing down Cam Shelton, I think, is the biggest keys for tonight.
When you talk about slowing down a good guard like Cam Shelton, Gonzaga a lot towards the end of that game was switching things, and Drew Timme got switched in bad spots onto Shelton. And I thought the best thing LMU did was once they got the switch that they liked, they spaced the floor and gave them all that room to operate. Do you think they're going to have a heavy dose of switching, or what do you imagine Gonzaga's game plan is going to be if they go to similar actions offensively does LMU?
Well, I think there's going to be, mix up on ball screen coverages. I wouldn't be surprised if we blitz them or red trap, to get it out of his hands, and maybe look at that with a scramble and rotation out of that. Switching is okay. I think Drew was okay in it. Cam really got going, but it wasn't like Drew wasn't, not guarding him. So I think we'll mix it up, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a blitz, like I said, or you do an X, like we've talked about, where you pre-switch with your two bigs and being Anton, and you try to get him to be the guy guarding the screener. If you can figure out a way to do that in the actions, then I think it really be a lot more difficult for Cam Shelton to score. But also, like, even if he scores, we can't allow him to dominate the game. Is basically what I
Yeah.
was most impressed about. Like, he dominated the game and controlled the pace. Some guys can get to their numbers, but you still control the pace. You still control the flow of the game. That's the biggest key for me. So it will be interesting, though, in totality, what type of ball screen actions or defensively are we going to run?
Yeah, it should be a fun atmosphere. This game has been sold out for a couple weeks now. LMU is also coming off of a big win against St. Mary's this week. So LMU is the only team in WCC history since BYU has joined the league to beat Gonzaga, St. Mary's, and BYU in the same year. So pretty impressive. But for Zags fans, I'm sure they don't want to see a second loss to LMU this year.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun atmosphere. They sold out their game against St. Mary's, so there's some, like legitimate buzz around this program. We've always talked about, I think this is the program that could benefit the most from the transfer portal type of situation with an upcoming coach, great atmosphere, a program that's won in the past. Then obviously being in LA, it's an easy sell to, the location of where they're at is an easy sell to good players that maybe want to leave. So I'm happy for him. I think it's going to be a fun opportunity and a good game tonight. And, hopefully we come out with a win.
Well, the second game of the Southern California series, or trip, I should say, years ago, it was a fun rivalry, and this is Pepperdine. Gonzaga has absolutely dominated the series recently. Pepperdine's got talent, but they haven't been able to put it together this year. But Gonzaga beat them by about 40 at home earlier this year. They're not drawing great crowds. What is wrong in your eyes with Pepperdine? Because they've got a really good coach, they've got really good players, but they can't seem to put it together.
That's a good question. I think it's sometimes, they've had injury problems in the past. We always think of their past teams with the two twin brothers. Their names are escaping me. And then the good guard, Colby Ross, they always got hurt at the wrong times of the year. And so I feel like they always have just bad luck. And then I think it's harder to get the type of players that they can compete with at a university like that. I mean that as far as like grades and acceptance into the university. So if you're trying to recruit, it's not like they don't have talent, but if you're trying to recruit high-level California kids, sometimes they're not admitted into the university. So I think it's a combination of things, but hopefully they can get better because it's more fun when they're better. You know what I mean? And like you said, they have a ton of talent. The Lewis kid on the perimeter, I think, is the best wing. Wing as far as NBA potential in the conference. Like his numbers may not jump out at you as crazy as some other guys, but like if you just watch him and you see balance, athleticism, potential, shooting ability, all that stuff, you're like, that's an NBA player right there. So we'll see. They always play us tough in stretches at their place. They did it last year where, we were up 20, 22, and then it became like an 8-point game late, and then we blew another run and then blew the game wide open. So it'll be interesting to see what type of team shows up.
Yeah, I like Lewis's game. I think he's got potential. He's been a bit inconsistent. The Javon Porter kid has really played well as of late, almost 7-footer with guard-like skills. But, when Gonzaga's played at Pepperdine in years past, it's an interesting pregame prep for that game because there's really no hotels in Malibu. Gonzaga doesn't stay in like Woodland Hills. We would always stay when I was there. And I think when you were there, it would be in the Marina Del Rey area. And now they stay in the Santa Monica area. So they don't take shoot around up at Pepperdine. You shoot around at a local high school gym. And then you have that kind of sunset time of night drive along the coast to get up to Malibu. I remember falling asleep on the bus on the way up to Pepperdine game just because it was like so relaxing looking out at the ocean. Traffic was like slow. It was like a standstill. I think we were going like 20 miles per hour. Do you remember those drives up to Malibu just kind of lulling you into being tired before the game?
Yeah, it's the PCH, so it's obviously an iconic drive, and it is usually traffic at that time. So you kind of have like an hour and a half drive that normally would take 35 minutes at most. So it is interesting. So you have to leave at a super early time, obviously, so it kind of messes up your routine. But yeah, it is kind of neat to have that type of deal, and then get off the bus and go play a college basketball game.
The other thing I love about Pepperdine is when you walk out of the gym, say you're walking towards the locker rooms, and you take a left and just walk out the front doors of the Firestone Fieldhouse. It's the best view in all of college basketball because the Pacific Ocean just hits you with a wow factor sight. When you get out of that gym, is that one of the things that you like to do?
Yeah, it's mostly dark by the time we get out of it. So yeah, I
True.
guess. But yeah, I mean, I think they're building a new facility in 2025, or they're breaking ground. It is a fantastic campus, obviously, but it is time for them to, if they want to continue to try to elevate their program, not only basketball but volleyball, they need a new facility. So it's congrats to them to finally get that approved. But it is like one of the best campuses anywhere in the country as far as aesthetics and just being the general location that you're at. It's just like, wow, people go to school here type of deal. So it's always a fun game to play up there. Hopefully we get this win against LMU, and then we can get that win against Pepperdine, and then we have a chance that last week, last regular season game to catch St. Mary's.
Well, it's last week before the final week of the regular season. There's starting to be some chatter about maybe ESPN Game Day coming to Spokane. If Gonzaga wins their 2 games this week, St. Mary's wins their 2 games this week, it could set up a conference title opportunity for either team in Spokane, that last regular season game of the year. That would be fun for ESPN College Game Day with Seth Greenberg, Reese Davis, LaFonso Ellis, Jay Billis to be there. Do you look forward in advance to opportunities like that, or you just kind of, it is what it is?
As far as like, what do you mean? Like to have those guys here, or?
Yeah, just as far as the spotlight on the program in that light, because it's a little different than just your typical game. If ESPN in the production to bring the whole crew out.
Yeah, no, it would be great for the guys, and it obviously be a giant game, and in the landscape of college basketball as far as seating and things of that nature. So yeah, it'd be cool if they came.
Well, we'll take a look next week at players of the week, or excuse me, players of the year in the conference, maybe coach of the year, because we'll have seen all the teams in person by then. There'll only be 1 week left, so I guess you and I can both be put on the spot next week with that.
Yeah, we should come, put together who's our best newcomer, all that stuff, and it should be non-Gonzaga players and Gonzaga players as well. So I think that's a great addition to the show to give our thoughts on who had a good solid year and who's on the rise and whatnot.
Awesome. We'll have a great call. You'll be on the radio with Huddy. I'm going to be calling the game tonight at LMU with Rich Waltz on CBS Sports. So enjoy the game, enjoy the atmosphere, and get as much sun as you can, because you're down here for about 4 days. That's awesome.